So far, we wrote a bunch of code and we actually have a fully fledged API that is connected to a real database, and we are using Spring Data JBC, Spring Data JPA, and also we have a list where we are storing data, and you saw how we use dependency injection so that we can switch the data source. So we have this n-tier architecture application where we have the API layer, we have the business layer for business logic, and the DO for interacting with the database. Now, you saw that we've been using Postman to send requests and test the application that way, but that's not the right way of doing things, and we should automate things, because if we make a change on our application, we're not going to use Postman again and again and again. So that is time consuming. So in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to write a bunch of tests to make sure that everything is working. And later, when we move on to CI, continuous integration, and CD, continuous delivery, you'll see the power of having tests. And I always say, if you don't have tests, then you are in serious trouble. So we have to test our code. Obviously, we should have been writing these tests before and as we wrote code, but because I wanted to teach you a few concepts without having to switch context, so I think from now on, let's actually add tests, and then later with the exercises that I'm going to give you, you'll be able to have, a fully fledged application. And later with the exercises that I'm going to give you, you should be able to put all of this into practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the DAO layer in here. So we're going to test that all the SQL queries that we have, any custom queries with Spring Data JPA, everything works. And then what we're going to do is test the business layer in here. So the application logic, and in here, you'll see the use of mocks using Mockito, and then the API layer. So this is where we write integration tests, i.e. we want to test the entire application, meaning that we'll fire up the web server and then write some code that essentially does whatever we've been doing with Postman. I'm super excited for this section because testing is something that you must have under control. Because if you don't, then you are in deep trouble.